All right, well, welcome. This is a really quick recording of me interviewing LeeAnn Dunson, who I'm going to introduce in just a second. We were supposed to be doing this on Facebook Live, but it did not want to work today. So this is take two. We're just going to video record here. But the reason I asked LeeAnn Dunson, who's an integrative practitioner and functional nutritionist who specializes in women's hormone health with over 18 years of experience helping women navigate that transition, right, of perimenopause and menopause. But what I love the most is that look at how gorgeous she is. She is a mom of four, but also a lolly, which is a grandma, to three grandbabies. And when I first met her, one of her grandchildren was over to her house and we were on a Zoom and I was like, is this her kid? Who is this? And then she was like, that's my grandchild. And I thought, holy cow, I want to follow whatever you're doing. And so I'm so excited that part of her program of how she helps people is with hormone therapy, microdosing peptides, strength training, nutrition. And she uses all of those things in combination to help people feel and look their best and like not have to be. I look back at the way that we used to view women in their 40s and 50s and 60s. And like that is not the way we are anymore, right? Like think of the Golden Girls. Like now that's the same age as Jennifer Aniston. Look how amazing she looks, right? And
Oh
Cameron
yeah.
Diaz and these women. So that's what we can do as well. So I asked LeeAnn to be on here today because microdosing just went live for LeMD. We are the only company in the exact space that we're in that's doing microdosing for semaglutide and tirzepatide, and it's for the longevity. So even when you go to our site, it's not under the weight management. Yes, you can still get those products under weight management, but if you're looking for the health benefits that we're going to talk about right now and you don't need to lose weight, or maybe you have a minimal amount of weight to lose, this is the right product for you. And so I wanted to talk about why, because I've already had LeeAnn, probably five people message me in the last 2 days. It's like, I don't even understand why would you microdose GLP-1? Like I thought people do it just to lose weight. So I'm going to let you start with that question because that's the biggest question I keep getting asked. Like, well, why would you want to microdose something that's for weight loss?
Right, exactly. Well, I'll tell you from my personal story,
Yes.
too, and I can tell you a little bit about what I've done with my clients for the last 2 years. But my personal story is, I mean, I have all the tools. I'm an integrated practitioner. I specialize in women perimenopause, menopause. I know all the things. I've tracked my food. I know my protein. I know all that. I was doing all the things, and doing all the things, I could not get my A1C to go down. I was having a lot of issues dealing with my blood sugar. And I was wearing I went to my functional medicine doctor. I was wearing a CGM. I was having the CGM going off nonstop. So we were having a lot of these issues. And then I did notice, because of dealing with insulin resistance, I did notice a little fluff that was coming on in the midsection, and nothing was working. Know how many days I could train at sit training, all this stuff, nothing was working. So I talked to my provider, because I'm like, hey, we've been using this with my clients to help them, and these microdosing to help them lose weight. I'm like, why don't I try it? So I finally tried it. I will tell you, one of the things that the reason what's almost stopped me from doing it is because I was so worried about losing my appetite. I was like, I work out hard. The last thing I want to do is, lose my appetite, not be able to get my protein because I'm here for midlife. Everything's muscle sparing. So we started off and we're like, hey, we're going to just do this like super like droplets. And so that's what we did. We started this microdosing. I started using it on myself. And I would say within like 60 days, we went ahead and we said, let's look at the numbers again. And finally, it was the first thing that actually was able to allow my body to actually balance my blood sugar to lower my A1C. But the other great things that happened, which I didn't expect with this, is it helped to optimize my hormones. I do HRT, and doing that, I still on HRT, I was still struggling to get my estradiol was just like not, wanting to move up. So we tried different modalities, and it wasn't until using microdosing a GLP-1 did my hormones start optimizing. So when you're dealing with insulin resistance, I mean, it's gonna be hard to really optimize your hormones. And that's why I tell women it's such a great combination to microdose, like you're doing if you're, optimizing, supporting your hormones, however you want to do that, whether it's using, supplements or it's using HRT and then adding in the GLP-1 is like us, it's like a girl's best friend. You
I
know,
love the way you said that. Yeah, it's so true. And I love the little hint that you just gave about even about being insulin resistant. I think so many of us don't even know that we're insulin resistant
oh
and
yeah.
it's affecting our hormones. And I think, one of the things that I learned a lot about was just the toxins in our environment, the toxins in our home, the toxins in our food. You guys, listen, like I just finished, or I'm like halfway through Inflammation Nation, that book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like even though I try to eat plant-based, I'm still putting a ton of poisons into my body every single day. And
Oh,
that's life. Like we can't do much about that, right? We can do the best we can. That's it. So I think that's super important. So what are some of the other health benefits that you've found now that you've been because you've been doing this like how long now, helping your
well,
clients?
I've been working with my clients over 2 years. So what happened is how I got into microdosing is, being as a fat loss coach and a hormone coach, I had a lot of women come to me. They're like, what do you think about Ozempic? What do you think about this? And of course, you're hearing all the stories and like people are losing their appetite. And people come to me and most women are, they were under eating. So I'm like, well, let's figure out how to do this. And so I talked to my provider who was doing, helping my women support with hormones too. And so we talked about like, let's just microdose, let's just give small amounts to see where that saturation is to them. And so we started it. And with that, I saw reduction in inflammation. I have women who had RA, I had Hashimoto's. So not only does it reduce that inflammation, but it also helps with that immune response. So we started noticing these women. And two, I will tell you, with microdosing, there can be a weight loss component. And the reason why I say that, because if you're dealing with inflammation, you have inflammation going in your body, you're dealing with an autoimmune issue, your body's in constant, it's out of balance. It's in this fighting. And so what microdosing of GLP-1, what it does is it gives you a little like leg up. It's going to support your body. It's a tool. It's an amazing tool that will support your body. And when it's supporting your body like that, it's regenerative. It's able to heal tissue. It's able to help heal the body. And so that's what I started finding. I started like my Hashimoto's clients were thriving. My people who, had arthritis and RAs, like joint pain. One thing that I noticed in myself, my mom has always had, and it's been kind of like, one of those things, it's generation to generation. They have arthritis in your hands. You start getting like the swollen knuckles. And in my 50s here, I was like, look down at my hands and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like turning into my mom, like I've got that knuckle. And that's the one thing that all of a sudden I noticed, like my wedding ring is just sliding on and off my finger. And that's from that inflammation. And inflammation, I always tell people, if we can reduce inflammation, like that is the root cause for most diseases that happen. And so I don't think people realize how important that is in with everything, for being protective, being proactive in their health. Like the first thing we need to do is like, what can we do to reduce inflammation?
Yes, I love that you said that because inflammation does. It leads to disease, it leads to autoimmune, it leads to
Mhm.
cancer, and it also leads to weight gain and foggy brain and not wanting, hey, listen, let's go here, not wanting to be sexually active. Like it
Yes.
is linked to so many things. And it's funny because one of the biggest things that a lot of my clients that are losing weight right now without microdosing on the regular, semaglutide or tirzepatide, they're like, oh my gosh, did your shoe size go down? Did your ring start getting big? I'm like, yeah.
Right.
That just shows you how much inflammation we carry, especially in our feet and hands. I don't think people realize like that's where it kind of goes to, right? Just naturally with gravity. And we do hold a lot there. And so like I can even eat like I used to, if I would go out to a Mexican restaurant and have like chips and salsa and guacamole, I wouldn't be able to get my ring off the next day. It would hurt. My fingers would feel puffy. And now like I can eat that and I'm totally fine. But it's probably one part because I'm reducing inflammation and one part because I'm not overeating, right? I like that
Exactly.
gone and it's helping. So with the microdosing, we're taking a very small amount of GLP-1 that most people are using a little bit, hopefully not too large of amounts. We both, LeeAnn and I, really believe in the compounding because then you have the ability to have your own vial, your own syringe. you're managing that and finding your sweet spot. But with microdosing, it's even less. So you're using a very small amount. And I know that there's other things that it can help with, like cardiac help, obviously blood sugar, like you talked about. It can help with longevity things and things like that. So is there anything else that, like, I know you study a lot and you learn a ton that you want to share about the microdosing?
Yeah, so one of the other things, like we talked about the immune response that happens too. So it's a great for if you have with Hashimoto's. I'm finding amazing results using it with my clients who have PCOS. I mean, amazing with PCOS. I put my daughter who is 25 on it for PCOS, so doing that, we're seeing amazing results with that, with the PCOS. Down to, yes, they're using this now, like in the UK, microdosing using small amounts of GLP-1 are used for preventative for heart disease. So you have to remember this is a peptide. It's peptide. And so it's regenerative. So what is regenerative? Regenerative is healing. So you have to think when you're putting this in your body, it's going to the receptors that need that. And it's what it's doing, and then it's healing in the body. And that's like a huge thing. Plus, too, let's take a little bit back on that insulin resistance part, is a lot of people are insulin resistant that doesn't even show up for a year on their blood work. So they're walking around. So what if we did something that was preventative, that was proactive, and you're taking a little bit of this, because you can start to kind of feel like if you're getting into that A1C, you start getting in those fives and that A1C, you're kind of like, you know what? I know something's going on with my body. So this, like, why do we wait until someone tells us that we're, diabetic? I watched, and I'll tell you what happens too when you get that. If you don't get that under control and you don't use something like this, then it turns into type 3 diabetes, which we're looking at dementia and Alzheimer's. So that's what's preventative. So I watched my grandmother not lose function of her body, but lose function of her mind. And it's a really sad thing to watch. And so I have been for years, and I watch my grandmother have a lot of the same ways, like certain things in our body. Like, and I remember when her doctor told her, yes, like you need to start watching, your blood sugar. But you can still have all the desserts. You can still eat all this white bread, all this stuff you can still have, but just a little bit, not as much. And he never gave her anything else. He never helped her in any other way. So my grandmother still stays in that same routine, doesn't do anything to help, with that insulin resistance that's going on, and develops then dementia. Yeah. So I'm always so that's why I'm super passionate about this. And because with me, I do everything that is going to be proactive in preventing that. I don't want my kids to see that. So I'm wanting to do for my kids and for, my vitality, and I'm just doing everything that's proactive.
I love that. And that's why when you go onto the LEMD website, you literally are going in the longevity category for the microdosing. It's not in the weight management. That's totally separate. So I love that you said that. I actually met somebody this weekend in Cabo, and he is microdosing semaglutide for Parkinson's. And he said he's
Oh
seen a
yeah.
huge difference in his cognitive stuff. And so I just thought that is just so amazing. So there's so many benefits. My cholesterol has maintained at low levels. I'm on an estrogen blocker from my ovarian cancer in the past. And one of the side effects is high cholesterol. And so since
Mhm.
being on GLP-1 and microdosing it, I have been able to keep my cholesterol levels down, and actually better than they have been in probably 10 years, which is so
Oh yeah.
exciting too. Yeah.
Well, also because a lot of women are dealing with too of the cholesterol, their LDLs. I mean, as you going through midlife too, we have elevated cholesterol due to our hormones. Too, if this can help optimize that too, with that 30% optimization, but also, too, you have to think cholesterol also can be in, inflammation too. So we can use this increased blood flow, all of that. So that's the whole thing is just, there's so many other things that it does. But I find another little thing that when you were talking about cognitive health is I found with my women, because I specialize in women who are going through perimenopause and menopause. And one of the biggest complaints is brain fog. And you all of a sudden you get in a room, you're like, why am I in this room? What am I supposed to be doing here? And that's one thing that I noticed within myself was really quick. I did notice that, and I've noticed my clients are saying the same thing. And so it brought back, because there's nothing worse as you're going through that. You lose your creativity. You lose, like, this is what excites me. Like, you lose all that because you're just stuck in this fog. And really, microdosing to me, that's the biggest thing that was lifted. And I tried a lot of other things to lift that brain fog, you know? So it's been great to me, not only with that ADHD, part of it and the brain fog.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And there's just so many amazing benefits. And so I
Oh,
know
yeah.
that a lot of people that are watching are like, wow, I never thought about that because when you hear GLP-1, you always hear about the weight loss, right? And so, or about reducing diabetes and blood sugar. And so they're not thinking about all the other health benefits that are available for this product. So if you are watching this today and you have questions, please get back to LeeAnn or myself or whoever shared this video with you because we want to make sure we get you the information that you're looking for. There's so many studies out there. There's so much great information and also on our site. So please feel free to ask. We would love to get you that information. LeeAnn, anything else you want to share before we get off?
I was just going to say one thing that I always like to stress to people. The size, so a lot of people come here and they're just like feeling a little, might be feel a little fluffy. They just have like a few pounds. One thing is, I always say, the side benefit of a balanced body is going to be reduction of fat loss or weight loss, whatever it is that your body's holding on to. So just remember that. So focus on that longevity piece and balancing your body, getting your body to a healthy state, and your body won't hold on to that that little fluff, that 5 pounds, a few extra pounds that you're holding on to.
That's so true. And eat your protein.
Yes, eat your
Let's get that
protein.
protein. Yes, get that protein in. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share with everybody. We so appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.